whispers in the dark.
Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a really unsettling experience from our source material. It's one where the familiar just completely dissolves. The fabric of reality itself seems to, well, warp around this one person. And this isn't just, a spooky story about a house. It's more about the psychological side, the sensory breakdown when your own home turns hostile, becomes impossible.
Exactly. And our mission here really is to try and understand their profound psychological impact.
Yeah.
And the sensory distortions that happen when home stops being fixed. What actually happens when your safe space, your sanctuary, starts to actively betray you?
Right. So the source just throws us in. It starts with this really jarring moment.
Yeah.
The narrator talks about a heavy oak door near the fireplace. It was definitely there, apparently, and then it just simply ceased to be, replaced by a smooth, unbroken stretch of wallpaper. Just gone.
Wow. And that immediate shock when something so solid, so known, just vanishes. What does that do psychologically? Well, it's a massive disruption. It doesn't just cause panic. It undermines what psychologists call cognitive mapping. That's basically your brain's internal map, right? Your blueprint of your space. When a key part of that map, like a door, just disappears, it creates this huge sensory dissonance. Your brain literally says, wait, this isn't right. It forces you to reevaluate reality itself, and your trust in your own senses starts to erode. It's a classic horror mechanism playing on our need for things to make sense.
Yeah, and it didn't stop there. That's what makes it worse, maybe. The changes became subtle, pervasive, almost creeping up on you. The hallway, it started feeling longer or shorter, couldn't quite tell. Familiar paintings, subtly rearranged. And then the front door itself changed, became rough, splintered, like unfinished lumber, and crucially, no knob, just part of the wall, no escape.
Right. And that shift from one big shock to these smaller constant changes, that's where it gets really insidious. It moves into the realm of the uncanny, the familiar becoming disturbingly unfamiliar. And the source describes the house breathing, a subtle vibration underfoot, a low hum, feeling deliberate, organic.
Like it's rearranging its organs. That's a chilling phrase.
It is, because it suggests the house isn't just a place anymore. It's turning into something alive, something malevolent. Your brain is constantly trying to adapt, but when the rules keep changing like that, it causes this ongoing, grinding psychological stress, much worse than just one fright.
And then things get really terrifying. The spatial logic just completely falls apart. In the living room, the love seat is gone, replaced by a narrow archway leading into absolute void, just nothing. The kitchen becomes a cramped, claustrophobic corridor. The cabinets are warped. The sink drips this oily, black liquid.
Exactly. This is beyond simple disorientation. It's a total breakdown of spatial logic as we know it. We rely on, basic geometry, straight lines, consistent distances, predictability. But when stairs lead to 3 identical dead-end hallways, and the windows don't show the backyard, but a swirling, indistinct gray mist pushing against the glass.
Yeah, the outside world just vanishes behind that mist.
Your mind's anchors are just gone. You're trapped in this impossible non-Euclidean space that makes no sense. It amplifies the helplessness, the isolation.
And then comes the final stage, the ultimate confinement. Time goes weird, thirst kicks in, and the master bedroom, the last refuge, maybe it's not a bedroom. The bed's replaced by a cold stone slab etched with symbols.
Oh, wow.
The air gets colder. It smells like damp earth and something ancient and metallic. It feels less like a house and more like a tomb.
And that's the final horrifying shift, isn't it? The house itself becomes the predator. The source says walls begin to ripple like water. Patterns form grotesque faces.
It's actively shrinking, pressing down, drawing inward.
It's this profound terror of a space that's not just confusing, but actively hostile, consuming you. That slow, inexorable squeeze is terrifying, and it ends with that whisper.
Welcome home. Just chills. The ultimate betrayal. Your safe place becomes the trap.
It signifies total entrapment, not just physical, but psychological surrender.
So reflecting on all this deep dive really makes you think, doesn't it? About how much our sense of reality, our security, is tied to our physical spaces being stable, predictable.
Absolutely. And it leaves you with a pretty provocative thought. If your most familiar space, your own home, can betray you like that,
Yeah.
transforming into this crushing, impossible maze, how much of your sense of security is actually based on the outside world? And how much is just a maybe fragile construct in your own mind? What happens when that construct just shatters?
Like, comment, and subscribe.